OK, remember from last time, we talked about security risks in DNS. One of the risks that we mentioned was a malicious name server that lies and gives us the wrong answer. So somebody has hacked into this berkeley.edu name server, and they have returned a malicious record that enters our cache. So this is a problem we need to defend against. So how do we defend against malicious name servers giving us incorrect records? One thing we can do to mitigate the amount of damage from a malicious name server is something called bailiwick checking. This isn't going to solve the problem of hackers getting into malicious name servers and giving us bad records. But if someone does hack into a name server, this can limit the damage that they can do. So if we come back to this example, where somebody hacked into a berkeley.edu name server and gave us a malicious record about www.google.com, you might notice something weird about this record. How can a name server that is responsible for all berkeley.edu subdomains give us an answer for www.google.com? That's not what this name server is an expert at. This name server is responsible for the berkeley.edu zone. They are not responsible for other domains like this. So one defense we can do to limit the amount of damage a malicious name server can do is to reject any records that are not in that name server's zone. So for example, if someone hacks into the berkeley.edu name server, that name server is responsible for eeks.berkeley.edu and its associated records, but it is not responsible for mit.edu because that's not in the berkeley.edu zone. And similarly, if someone hacked into the .edu name server, that name server can serve mit.edu records and berkeley.edu records, but it cannot serve google.com records. So one defense that you can do as a resolver or a end host is to only accept records if they're in the zone of the name server that you're asking. Now, this has a fancy term. It's called bailiwick checking. If you look up this word in the dictionary, it's from legal terms, and it means one sphere of operations or area of interest. So basically what this is saying is that the berkeley.edu name server has one particular area of interest that it's good at, and it can only serve records from that particular zone. So once again, this doesn't solve our problem of malicious name servers, but it reduces the amount of damage that any broken name server can cause. If you hack into the berkeley.edu name server, you can return malicious records for any domain ending in berkeley.edu, but at least you can't affect the rest of the internet. So it's a protection that we can do to limit the damage. But this does mean that if someone hacks into the root server, everything is in the root server zone, so that would break the entire internet. So it's very important that people cannot hack into the root name server.